So all of you responded, and groundwater wound up on the second from the bottom on the list. So we're going to go through our tools very quickly here, so you're clearly not interested. So I'm going to walk you through, JR showed you two groundwater tools. There's water level and geophysical logs. The groundwater level database is an online hydro-based database of measured water levels, both active and historic, and it's collected by DWR, USGS, and occasionally some third-party cooperators. They run their data kind of through our group and upload it either through a bulk uploader, or you can even do measurement by measurement, individual measurements. This database does not include static water level from pump installation or well construction reports. That would be only found right now on those two scanned reports. Unfortunately, we haven't rolled that data into this water level database. So I'm going to show you how you can download Excel-ready water level data. JR kind of already previewed that. Download annual water level reports, and also you can create your own custom water level report for an aquifer, for a region, for a time period. So I'll quickly show you how to do some of those things through the tool. And finally, we got some different data visualization tools than some of the things JR showed you. So here's the dashboard again. We are in the red groundwater box. Our two tools are water levels, geophysical logs. Andy will walk you through the logs. This is the main page you land on, nice and blank, no results. Some things here on the search area I want to highlight are, you got time period. There's the more options, which I don't have a screenshot of. But the big one is either aquifer, geographic location, or this publication area. The publication area is a specific zone that DWR employees measure, and we do an annual report on water levels. These are the designated basins: Denver Basin, South Platte, West Slope, probably forgetting one, North Park, South Park. So if you want to search for a publication for a specific report, drop down that publication list. There is our list of reports. The CSU and the Horse Creek were historic reports that aren't active, but they still show up. So I chose Camp Creek. We have 10 wells out in Camp Creek. You get your table here. This is similar to all the other tools. If you're signed in, you can rearrange the columns as you wish. But first things I want to show you are export. You can export either CSV data or the PDF report. The CSV data is actually two different data sets. You can, if you download them both, it downloads a zip file, or you can do each one individually. So you can do a list of those wells in your publication area. So for Camp Creek, we have 10 wells, and it has all of the metadata behind that well: location, depth, anything that we have measured by, things like that. Or you can get a time series data set for any wells that are in your selection area right here. So for this, it's going to be 260 records, 10 wells. I don't know if we have exact measurements per well, but so it's every measurement for every well in a time series format. So you can export either of those, both of those, and if you have selected a period of record in your search, that's all you will get in this export. That's kind of what it looks like. Up here is our time series data. So you see for CC1, we have measurements from 1960 through whatever, 2018. And then that will go down for 260 rows. And here is our metadata area here. We've got perforated casing, grout, receipt number, period of record information. So it's usually best to download both of those data sets. You could also export our PDF report, which we used to actually put out paper reports. It's all online now. And here, there's a couple more options too. The top checkbox is by default. That's going to give you a well detail page for each of your searched for or selected wells in this table. And then it's going to give you the option to check a box to include a basin summary. hopefully you can read that. The Basin Summary is a couple-page summary of DWR's activities surrounding that water level expedition that year. Sometimes we have some maps or additional figures that go along with it. So if you check that, it bundles it up nicely with the individual page reports and gives you a nice professional-looking report. So here you go. Here's our introductory pages, a quick summary, a quick map of the well locations, and then you'll get a page for each of these wells within the report. And I think I've got a bigger view of those reports. Along those same lines, you can create a custom report in this tool. I did a quick example where I searched for all divisions, but within the Denver Basin publication. I want to know water levels for the Dawson Aquifer for the past 5 years. I type that in, hit search, and we get about 19 wells within the Dawson that have a water level measurements in the past 5 years. Do our, here's a box showing how I searched that, and do that well report again. You don't have to check the Basin Summary if you don't want. It's kind of long for the Denver Basin. You get some extra maps that you don't need. So you just spit that out and you can get those 19 pages in a nice little PDF. A couple little cool things about the map view. This is the same search for all the Camp Creek. Instead of on the table view, I'm on that map part, and you see all 10 of the Camp Creek wells. If you click up here on Map Options, it gives you the opportunity to label these points and also have a different hover field, which is good, I think, for water level data because you just want a quick view of what water levels look like. So I set it to water level depth to be the label and the hover to be the well name. So there's an example of that. We've got a label for the depth to water, and if you hover your mouse over that point, it tells you which well that is. If you click the point, you actually get this little viewer. Gives you a quick blast of what aquifer it is, depth to water from the last measurement, and the date of that measurement, and total well depth. If you need even more information than that, click this little View Water Level Details page, and that'll bring you to a page I'll show you in a second. One other quick tool. This open in is pretty handy if you want to open this location in a different program. You can open it in the DWR location or distance converter, which JR showed you earlier, or you can open it in Google Maps, do the street view, kind of get directions out to that site. So that's pretty handy. Okay, here's the overview detail page. There's a lot of information. I hid the location information. It gives you another map. There's construction information for the well if we have it. The summary for the period of record. Image docs, just like JR showed you. The default is to the PDF in Laserfish of our water level report for that publication area or basin. We also show, if you click this little radio button, you can see well permit information, which obviously has the well construction pump installation info. If there happens to be a geophysical log for that well, that can also be linked from here, or you can look at all image docs that are related to that record tied to that receipt number in our database. Is there anything else I want to show on that? I gotta run here. The question was, is there a way to, if you can download all image docs at once? I don't believe there is. I think you have to do it individually per hyperlink. So that was the site overview page here. If you tab over to the measurements, you see you default to the hydrograph. You can show water level by depth below ground surface or elevation. That would show up here. If I clicked that on, it'd be on this y-axis. A couple points to remember for most of these wells, especially the unconfined wells, this y-axis defaults to the well depth, and it's always from ground down, so you're kind of visualizing the water table. You can also tweak this if you want and create your own axes. You can also play with the period of record. And then, of course, you can PDF out that hydrograph, and it looks exactly like this. But it's nice to just put into a presentation if you need it. There's also a table of data. There's many more columns here, but it's important to remember that you can export all of the water level measurements in CSV for this record from this measurement side here. And then there's also another reporting option from here. Hit that report, and here's what the CSV looks like for that well record. And if you hit the PDF report for this well, this is what you get, some of that metadata, location information, construction, table of measurements, and your hydrograph. That's one, it's always going to be one 8.5 by 11 PDF page for you. Of course, there's a help menu. The data dictionary explains what some of these columns are, and then Ask DWR is a good way to get in contact with us if you need extra water level data. And if you want specific contact info, feel free to reach out to us. I'm Kevin. Andy's going to speak to you next, and Matt Sayers and Helen Melenda are our other hydrogeologists, and the four of us do most of the water level measurements and prepare these reports. Any quick questions before we get into geophysical logs? We have a different way of viewing this data, so I don't use this all that often. Structures. One of the options here is location or coordinates buffer. So you do that search option, you can type in either by UTM lat long and your distance, and all of the records will show up with that. I probably should have repeated the question, but can you search for water levels around a buffer around a coordinate? And you use the buffer coordinate search. All right, I'll turn it over to Andy Flora on geophysical logs.